Hello, welcome to Spectrum News at 2. My name is Janice Cobham, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari presides over Security Council meeting at Villa. Supreme Court adjourns Naira redesign case till March. Plus, United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says U.S. is not in support of any candidate. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for joining us this afternoon for the news at 2. We begin our reports that the President Muhammadu Buhari is currently presiding over a meeting of the National Security Council holding at the council chambers of the State House, Abuja. Believed to be the last before the elections, the security meeting comes 5 months after the council last met to receive updates from the service chiefs and heads of other security agencies. With barely 48 hours to the presidential and National Assembly elections, reports the meeting will review the readiness of all security agencies, the Independent National Electoral Commission and the Central Bank ahead of the electoral exercise. Present are Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Rabo, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Isiaku Amao, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, the Inspector General of Police Usman Baba, and Directors General of the State Security Service and National Intelligence Agency Yusuf Bichi and Ahmed Abubakar, respectively. In another development, the federal government has repatriation program. Meanwhile, the federal government is reviving short-in crude oil wells in a bid to produce about 2.1 million barrels of oil daily with an estimated worth of 2.4 trillion naira monthly from various drilling facilities in the Niger Delta. Data obtained from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission in Abuja show that about 900,000 barrels of oil per day could be produced from quick interventions on the short-in oil wells, while the medium and long-term initiative could add 1.2 million barrels of oil daily. The Chief Executive, NUPRC, Benga Komolafe, said a committee was currently working on reviving the short-in wells. Komolafe noted that as part of the strategy for value optimization and increased production from the national oil and gas reserves, the Commission has focused on regulatory initiatives aimed at reviving declining wells through enhanced oil recovery approach. He said a total number of strings that need to be revived is also known, and they have commenced engagement with the relevant operators to operationalize the initiative. The Supreme Court today adjourned a case instituted by the state governments against the federal government challenging the implementation of the Naira redesign. The Apex Court adjourned the case to March 3 for judgment. Earlier, the Apex Court consolidated the suits instituted by over 12 state governments. At the last hearing on February 15, 7 states joined the 3 initial states as co-plaintiffs, while Edo and Bayelsa states joined the federal government as co-defendants. The court, however, refused to join Abia State in the suit on the grounds that it came late with its originating summons. All efforts by Abia State government to be joined in the suit was turned down and was ordered to present its case at a later date. While the defendants are the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami San, as well as the AGs of Bayelsa and Edo State. And elsewhere, the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, has deployed over 200,000 Corps members as ad hoc staff to partake in the general elections scheduled for Saturday. The Director General, NYSC, Yushau Ahmed, said those to participate in the election have already been trained by INEC officials both in and outside orientation camps, warning that they must not accept gifts from party agents. The NYSC DG stated these in Abuja while speaking on the preparedness of the organization for the forthcoming general elections. According to him, the body has put in place measures to ensure the security of Corps members during and after elections. And still on electoral matters now, the United Kingdom has advised critical stakeholders and political parties to ensure violence-free elections ahead of the 2023 polls. The UK's Minister of State for Development and Africa, Andrew Mitchell, gave the advice in a statement, noting that the UK and its government remain committed to supporting credible and inclusive elections, which are fundamental to Nigeria's continued democratic growth and to the future of regional and global democracy. He urged party officials to respect electoral laws and institutions as well as avoid hate speech. Away from that, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation of its ongoing 2023 direct entry registrations. The board, in a statement by its head Public Affairs and Protocol, Fabian Benjamin, explained that the suspension is to enable the deployment of certain measures which are designed to better serve prospective candidates. The statement said a new date and fresh registration procedure, which will include the upload of JAMB admission letters in the case of OND and NCE, admission letters issued by universities in the case of university diploma, and admission letter issued by A-level examination bodies would be announced in due course. The statement added that only JAMB officers are approved to register candidates for direct entry. And back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Dom Emmanuel has charged all eligible voters in the state to participate in this Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections. Governor Emmanuel gave the charge while addressing party faithfuls at the gubernatorial campaign rally of the People's Democratic Party in Insert Ubium. The governor, who stressed that voters are the only ones who would decide winners in the elections, urged them to follow all election procedures on election day to enable them cast a valid vote. He warned eligible voters against selling their permanent voters' cards PVCs, as it was the only power they have to elect leaders of their choice. Government House correspondent Jane Owa reports that Governor Emmanuel, who is also the chairman of the People's Democratic Party Presidential Campaign Council, appealed to the people of the Saturday, while the governorship and state assembly election is scheduled to hold on March 11, 2023. Moving now to Africa, fighting resumed in the disputed town of Las Anod in the self-declared Republic of Somalia land, which is situated in northern Somalia. The number of casualties from the latest fighting is not yet known, but the International Committee of the Red Cross and Crescent states that over 150 people have been killed and over 600 wounded since the violence began on February 6th. It was sparked when the Ballantyre clan elders reportedly issued a declaration stating that they no longer considered themselves part of Somaliland and that Seoul, Sanang and Kian regions would now be governed Somalia. Meanwhile, a ceasefire was briefly declared on February 10th, but the two parties have accused each other of violating it since then. And still in Africa, the U.S. are reportedly to announce fresh sanctions targeting military commanders and militia leaders involved in the ongoing fighting in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. This fresh round of sanctions will target military commanders from the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. The two countries have traded accusations over the conflict in the mineral-rich region of DR Congo. Meanwhile, Eastern DR Congo has seen an escalation of fighting in recent days between Congolese forces and rebel groups that has killed thousands and displaced millions more. On the foreign scene, the United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and two other senior administrative officers, U.S. Aid Administrator Samantha Power and U.S. Ambassador to the UN Linda Thomas-Greenfield, have said that the U.S. does not support any one candidate in the forthcoming general elections in Nigeria. In a 48-second solidarity video posted on its verified social media handles, the U.S. government, which said Nigerians had a chance to make their voices heard and choose their future in the general elections, reiterated that they strongly support a peaceful election that reflects the will of the people of Nigeria. And while assuring that Nigeria has a friend and partner in the U.S., the official said the U.S. was invested in Nigeria's success as the shared democratic futures of both countries depended on it. Still on the foreign scene, Russian President Vladimir Putin says relations between his country and China are reaching new milestones as Beijing's top diplomat Wang Yi wrapped up a visit to Moscow today. Wang's high-profile visit just days before the anniversary of the Kremlin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine is widely believed to be a precursor to a meeting between Putin and Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Recall that in December 2022, Putin and Xi held a virtual meeting in which the Russian leader described relations between the two nations as the best in history, saying they could withstand all tests, and invited Xi to visit Moscow in the spring of 2023. Wang arrived in Moscow just days after U.S. officials went public with concerns about how China's continuing partnership with Russia could have an impact on the war in Ukraine, and hours after Putin made a major speech on the conflict in which he announced plans to suspend Russia's involvement in its last remaining nuclear arms treaty with the U.S. And still to come in the news, Chelsea legend Glenn Hoddle begs Osimhen to come EPL this summer following his brilliant form. Just stay with us. Many thanks for still being there. Now to the rest of our stories, and we begin from our business news. In business, The Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission (NIPC), Saratu Umar, has appealed for collective action for mutual benefits that would firmly position Nigeria and the diplomatic community on the path of sustainable prosperity for current and future generations. Speaking during the stakeholders forum with the diplomatic community in Abuja, she said the commission recognized the role of the diplomatic community as a critical stakeholder in investment promotion, noting that economic diplomacy remained one of the pillars of the mandate undertaken by diplomats in host countries. Umar added that based on the mandate, diplomats do not only assist in delivering marketing messages to target groups of potential investors, but also manage relationships and provide the relevant information required for investors to make informed investment decisions. And still in business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited NNPCL says Nigeria's oil production had increased to 1.6 million barrels per day, a few million short of the 1.8 million barrels per day quota allocated to Nigeria by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. NNPCL's Group Chief Executive, Mele Kyari, revealed this at a meeting of industry stakeholders called to discuss the challenges of crude oil theft and losses affecting the oil and gas sector. He stated that the rectangular security approach comprising the company and partners, regulators, government, security agencies and host communities, boosted by the adoption of technology, ensured the recovery of production from what it was in July 2022 to the current 1.67 million barrels per day. And to some health stories now, Harvest Plus Nigeria, in collaboration with the federal government and development partners, had unveiled a nutritional guide to help Nigerians reduce the risk of malnutrition, which remained a national challenge. Chief Nutritionist Harvest Plus Eric Boy said biofortification uses conventional breeding to develop food crops that provide more of the essential vitamins and minerals, micronutrients required for good health. Eric noted that micronutrients malnutrition, known as hidden hunger, in Nigeria remains a public health challenge to be addressed, as approximately 1 in 3 preschool-age children suffer from vitamin A deficiency, and over 50% of women are anemic. She explained that Nigeria's most consumed staple foods, such as traditional white non-biofortified cassava, maize and sweet potatoes, are low in essential micronutrients like vitamin A. And still in health, researchers say that they have identified a severe form of mpox in people with advanced HIV, which had a death rate of 15% amongst patients with AIDS. Mpox, previously known as monkeypox, has long been endemic in several African countries but started spreading across the world last May, affecting homosexuals. According to the World Health Organization, more than 85,800 mpox cases, including 93 deaths, have been reported. In sports now, Egypt's under-20 coach Mahmoud Gabir has hinted that the young Pharaohs will adopt a different tactical approach when they take on the Flying Eagles today at the Cairo International Stadium. The young Pharaohs, who were held to a goalless draw in their opening fixture against Mozambique, are aiming to qualify for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup finals later this year in Indonesia and also clinch their 5th Under-20 title on home soil. Currently second in Group B with a point, Gabir revealed that his team is tactically ready to curtail the Nigerian side, desperate for a win. And still in sports, Chelsea's legend Glenn Hoddle today pleaded with Napoli striker Victor Osimhen to come to the English Premier League in the summer following his brilliant form in the ongoing 2022-2023 season. Huddle described Osimhen as a top player after his team's cruise past Eintracht Frankfurt in the UEFA Champions League on Tuesday night. Meanwhile, Osimhen, 24, scored a goal as Napoli defeated Frankfurt 2-0 in a Champions League round of 16 first leg tie in Germany. And to entertainment stories, Apple Music has announced Afrofusion singer-songwriter David Decker, popularly known as Paris, as the latest featured artist in its Up Next Artist Development Program in Nigeria. Born and raised in Port Harcourt, Nigeria, Paris has been working diligently for several months alongside distribution and label services company Freema Music in order to 2023 available to stream on Apple Music and released through Freema's Music blends Afrobeat, Afropop, Altai, R&B and Amapiano to create a sound that's steeped in energy and evergreen melodies anchored by the up-tempo Afrobeat single Coma. And still on entertainment, Nadine Ibrahim's Beyond the Veil is set to prime new video following a licensing agreement with Amazon's global streaming service will premiere exclusively on the platform next month. The series follows the lives of 5 women living in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Beyond the Veil displays the beauty of Arewa fashion, lifestyle and tradition, while also highlighting social issues such as polygamy, drug abuse, gender-based violence, forbidden relationship, and unstable family dynamics. Beyond the Veil 3. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do well to follow us on all our social media handles and ensure to subscribe to your YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website at spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 2. My name is Janice Cobham. Do have a good afternoon.